I cannot wait for the second leg. Next Thursday, bring it on. I'm already really looking forward to it. I woke up this morning almost with sort of extra determination, motivation, positivity, optimism, belief, more belief. And it's because of last night for a few things. First of all, from what I saw from West Ham. Second, from what I saw from Lyon, I guess. I thought they looked okay. They looked quite good. I thought we looked quite good. We weren't excellent. We've played a lot better than that, and we can play a lot better than that. I thought our tactics were right in the first half, and I was expecting to see a more attacking West Ham in the second half. However, that opportunity was taken away from us. But what I saw in the second half was a completely different test for West Ham. It was a test of character, a test of strength. Can you do it with 10 men against 11 for 45 minutes? And the answer was yes, we can do it. That's given me a bit of belief. But I think the sense of injustice is the reason I'm really looking forward to it, and the reason I think that we're going to do this now, because the motivation for both clubs to get into the Europa League semi-final prior to last night's game was equal. There was no advantage there. Both teams had the same motivation and the same reward. But after last night's performances from Lyon, with their sort of game management, let's call it that, some people call it cheating, let's be nice and call it game management, with that and the performance of the referee, the red card to Alex Cresswell, which it doesn't matter if you think it's a red card or not. It doesn't matter if I think it's a red card or not. The point is that Moyes and some of the players felt it wasn't a red card. Now, to some extent, it doesn't even matter if it's the right decision. Moyes thinks it's the wrong decision. That's going to drive him. That's going to give him that extra motivation going into this tie. And I think last night's game, what that's done is it's probably giving the boys a bit of a belief as well, thinking, hang on, we've just competed with one of the Europe's biggest teams in terms of their name and reputation against some really good players, and we've done it with 10 men for 45 minutes. They've got to have a lot more belief in themselves going into the second leg. I certainly do after what I've seen last night. But I think what it has done is just given them that extra little bit of motivation. That's what I wasn't going to do a video on this morning. I had no plans to. I've done the review last night. I'm trying to stay away from the review. I'm not going to discuss the goals or anything. It's more about mentality to some extent and belief going into next Thursday. But I just woke up today really looking forward to it, and we've obviously got a big game on Sunday first of all against Brentford. We can't forget that. I'm previewing that with Gonzo later. The preview will be on the channel tonight, but that's a completely different competition, and there's different reasons to look forward to both games. Sunday we're trying to qualify for the competition that we're in, and then next Thursday we're trying to qualify for the semi-final of a major European tournament, which is just mental. But going into last night's game, I felt we needed to win. I didn't fancy our chances going away, not necessarily against Lyon, but it was against Sevilla as well. And if we get through to the semi-final, whether we play Frankfurt or Barcelona, I'll still have the same thought process. I don't fancy going away in European football in the second leg, having to win that match in order to proceed. I don't like it. It scares me a little bit. That's why I was relieved to have the second game against Sevilla at the London Stadium. And I still think it made the world of difference. I think a lot of us felt having that second tie at home was part of the reason that we went through. We called it the 12th man, so on and so forth. And I still stand by that. That atmosphere against Sevilla was part of the reason that we won. So you can't have it both ways. I think you either accept that makes a big difference, therefore it's going to make a difference to Lyon, or you disregard it completely. But anyway, regardless. So I didn't fancy going to Lyon needing a win. But after what I saw last night, I thought they looked good, Lyon. I thought they had some nice neat passes, but they didn't really test Areola much, even with us down to 10 men, and we didn't make all substitutions, so we weren't fresh or that. Moyes wasn't bringing on fresh players or anything. I still thought we held them quite well at arm's length. Now, there's one thing that concerns me a lot. There is one thing that concerns me a lot for the second leg, but I'll save that for the preview itself. But this is just more about last night. I just feel like we got mugged off a little bit. Now, I actually hate blaming the referee. I think people that watch this channel for years will know I tend to not point the finger at him. I don't like doing it. But last night's one of those occasions where I can't help but coming away thinking that ref just ruined the game. It wasn't a level playing field for West Ham. I felt that we were up against it completely. It was difficult enough playing Lyon without having the feeling of the referee being against us. Like prior to the red card, there was 3 occasions Lyon players went down just in the first half where it wasn't a head injury, they stayed down and the referee blew up. And I think this was a lesson to West Ham last night, and I think this is why we will learn and benefit from last night massively in regards to sort of the referee's performance. I think all competition we've had this worry, and I think it's almost not necessarily a myth or a cliche or that, but it's one of these things I think it's easy to throw out there, which is, well, you're inexperienced in European competitions, which is true. But then what does that mean? Do you know what I mean? What does being inexperienced mean? Does that mean we're going to be worse in games? Does that mean that Declan Rice isn't going to be world class because he's not got European experience? But I think last night, we saw an example of what that meant. I think in the Premier League, and this is the difference with the officials, I think, in the Premier League, I think it's hard to win an official over. The official has already made their mind up in regards to certain players in the team. They've already decided that certain players are going to dive or a little bit more than others because they've seen them. They see them week in, week out. They speak to other officials in the Premier League. You know, the referees meet up once a month and discuss players. You know, here it is, Mark Clattenburg's book. I read this recently. He's I know people don't really like him, but I read it for an insight into Premier League refereeing, if you like, and it was quite a good read actually. But what he was saying, they would meet up and they would discuss certain players and captains and so on and so forth and get their opinions out there. And they'd often do their sort of top 3 or top 5 players that they liked the least in the last month and the ones that they do like, they like the most. And they actually named Mark Clattenburg named Mark Noble as one of the captains he really liked in the Premier League, and Jordan Henderson was another. But he hated Craig Bellamy. But anyway, what was I saying? Right, yeah, so Premier League referees already have sort of like decided what they think before the game kicks off. But I think in European football, I think to some extent they're there to be won over. I think that's what Lyon done well last night. I think they played to the referee quite a lot. I think they got him on side a little bit. And as soon as the first player goes down, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was Boateng that went down the first time when he banged into Fornals, went down holding his leg. The referee blew up for that. I think that's when Lyon thought, oh, okay, so this referee's going to blow up. As long as you go down and you stay down, the referee will eventually blow his whistle. And I think that was the slight difference between the experience of the two teams. And I thought we lost our composure a little bit, not too much, but there were small examples of it. You know, David Moyes getting booked to half. When does Moyes ever get booked to half time in the Premier League? He just doesn't. But last night he was quite angry with the referee for obvious reasons. A red card had only happened a couple of minutes before this. But that is just something that you wouldn't see from Moyes on a Saturday. You won't see it on Sunday away to Brentford. You won't see Moyes kicking off like that. And I just felt like last night was the first time our inexperience showed, because Sevilla, especially in the first leg, I thought they were slowing the game down as much as they could. But I felt like we handled it quite well. We kept our heads quite well. In the second leg, we didn't throw the kitchen sink at them. We were very disciplined, and I thought we were very disciplined yesterday. But I felt like every time the referee blew up, you could sense the frustration from our players more and more. And I understand why. But I think that's what gave Lyon a slight advantage last night, that they almost had the officials on side a little bit and they knew how to play to the officials. But I think we will learn from that going into the next leg. It's almost an important lesson last night. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that's just how I felt. And this morning when I woke up, I've just got this little bit of bring it on about next Thursday. Like I said earlier, I wasn't keen on going to Lyon with a draw. I would have, if you said to me on Wednesday 1-1 after the first leg, will you go through? I'd have probably said no. I said no, I don't know. I think that'd be difficult. I think Lyon might put us out then. But after last night's game, same result, 1-1. I fancy us, you know, I do. After what I've seen last night in both teams, I really do fancy us. And I think that injustice last night is really going to drive us on for the next leg. And more importantly, possibly, the return of Manuel Lanzini. Yes, we'll be missing Alex Eswell, but I think we can deal with that. We may appeal it as well. We'll find out today when Moyes does his press conference ahead of the Brentford game. I'm sure you'll get asked if we're going to appeal Alex Eswell's red card. But Manuel Lanzini will be back, which is huge. We missed him last night a lot. And I think he's the one player, funnily enough, that actually suits the European game more than anyone else in our team. So yeah, there you have it. I'm going to stop blethering now. I just wanted to have a little blether this morning because it's hard to explain. Hopefully some of you know what I mean. I just woke up this morning just feeling a little bit like, let's go and do this. Come on then, let's go and do this. I almost want to go get a shirt on and play for West Ham next Thursday so I can fly into tackles like Craig Dawson was in the last 10 minutes when they left 3 bodies on the pitch in our half. Loved that. That's what we need going into next week. And I feel like I want to put a shirt on and go and do that after the last night's performance. But anyway, going to disappear. Like I said, I'll record the preview for Brentford with Gonzo later, and that'll be up this evening. So if you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Myself and Gonzo will actually catch you tonight.